Well, hello, my friends, and welcome to a special live session here on my Affirmations YouTube channel where I'm going to be sharing how I got to this point of having a channel that has more than 400,000 subscribers. I believe it's 405,000 subscribers, more than 70 million views on this channel. And so if you come here normally listening to my affirmations, have no fear. I'm going to continue doing that. This is just a special session where I'm going to be sharing a little bit of my story and how I got to this point of reaching a global audience. The official title here is Cracking the Code of YouTube and Beyond, because I'm going to be talking about definitely the Beyond part too. But a lot of people are wondering, well, how did you get this many subscribers? How did you get to this point where you're reaching so many people around the world? And I want to share that with you in this special live session. I'm also going to be talking about something called the impact formula, which is like a 6-step process that I've used and many other successful people who are reaching a lot of people online have used to make a difference in the world. That's really what this is all about. Yeah, I mean, having the accolades, being somewhat well known, that's all relative. you know, Certainly not a household name, but I do have the ability to reach actually hundreds of thousands of people with my voice, with my message, even with some of my music every month. It's the thing that's really most important is influencing people in a positive way, like making a difference in people's lives, leaving a legacy. And so I'm going to be talking a lot about today. And so I'm so glad that you are here. And so I guess let's see. Oh, by the way, Happy New Year. It's still early enough in the year as I record this. It's the 4th. So Happy New Year. I hope your 2025 is off to a great start. I know that it is for me. And yes, I'm streaming live on my Affirmations YouTube channel, also streaming live to my Facebook page, but I know a lot more of the activity is going to be here on YouTube. And so if you're a regular listener, welcome. And then leave a comment if you're watching the live stream. Let me know where you're watching from, and I'll periodically throughout this, I will acknowledge some of the comments and I'll be interacting with you. So let's just kind of set the tone here for what we're going to do. And so first of all, just allow me to brag. This is about like attracting and building a global audience. And so let's just take a current snapshot of where I am with this. And even though this is my story, I want you to view this through the lens of what's in it for you. I mean, how you can use the steps that I've taken, the lessons that I've learned, and apply them to your own desires to share your gifts and talents with the world. So currently, here's what I can brag about a little bit. So I have a YouTube channel I'm streaming from live right now with over 405,000 subscribers, more than 70 million views accumulated over the years. And I think I have 10 videos that have more than 1 million views each. The most popular one has like 7.5 million views. So that's pretty darn cool. Never saw that coming years ago. I have a related podcast where I take the audio content of these affirmations, and it's you can find it on Spotify and Apple and all the podcast platforms. That currently gets close to 75,000 monthly downloads. It changes. Sometimes it's been a lot higher. Sometimes it's a little lower, but that's kind of an average over the last 6 months. I started, my first book was published in the mid-90s, and over these past 30 years, I published 16 books, and 14 of those 16 I self-published on my own. I'm very indie-minded, and those books have allowed me to reach thousands of readers around the world. And if you stay tuned here, I'm going to be sharing with you that journey and that story about how all these things came to be. Let's see here. What is the next slide? Also, I have an email list of nearly 12,000 people that have accumulated over the years. Most of those have an interest in my affirmations, but also a lot of them include musicians and creative people that I've catered to through my books over the years. If you take all of my social media accounts, like if you take LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Telegram, and you combine them all, there's more than 50,000 followers on all of those things combined. But I do tell you that not everyone that follows you even it sees or engages with your content. So I say that with a disclaimer there that I know I'm not reaching that many people through social media. I am on YouTube and the podcast for sure, but still, that's a lot of people that I have the opportunity to influence and serve up some positive messages. And then over the years, I've produced over 20 albums, mostly of affirmations, but also several albums of music that I've written and created. Yeah, I'm going to tell you a little bit about my musical background as we go through here. And those are all available on Spotify, Apple, and other of the music streaming platforms. And if you're looking for those albums on the streaming platforms, my artist name there is Bob Baker's Inspiration Project. So really, if you seek those out, there's another way that you can consume my content. That's another part of my story. Is as you see, as I go through this, is that I've pretty much have made available. If there's a platform that people are using, I ask myself, how can I use that to get my message out to more people. And so while all these numbers are great, yeah, it's so great to be able to tout those numbers. And the thing that's really the most important to me is it allows me to get messages like these. These are just 3 recent either comments or messages that people have sent me in the DMs or emailed to me. This one woman here about 2.5 years ago after major brain tumor operation. I came across your healing recording or affirmations on YouTube, listened to it twice a day for a month. Basically, she's saying that it helped her with her mindset and her recovery, and now she recommends it to other people in her community. And so it says, and look at that last line, thank you for appearing in my life when I needed to hear your affirmations. That's the thing. Like when you share, you never know when you put something out there who it's going to touch. And you may think, oh, nobody's reading this stuff. But if you just reached one person and got feedback like that, wouldn't that be worth putting yourself out there? Another person up there said that she is a cancer survivor, couldn't find her self-worth. And in 12 minutes of listening to one of my affirmations, she says she got that, a sense of self-worth back, and she's grateful for that. That's a wonderful comment. And I want you to get comments like this too. Another one says, thank you, Bob, for guiding me through some of the toughest years of my life. I found you via Louise Hay videos on YouTube and have listened daily ever since. She mentions my wife, Pookie, and how we brighten her days. So aren't those comments, I mean, these are the things that keep me going. That's the fuel that says, yes, I'm making a difference in the world, and I've dedicated myself to one of my missions is to inspire and uplift humanity one positive thought and one inspired action at a time. That's a phrase that I've been using. It's sort of like my North Star. More recently, I'll be talking more about that as we go along. I also am in a position, because of my history, which I'm going to be sharing here, I am also uniquely qualified, I guess, to help what I call purpose-driven creators grow an audience, make an impact, and leave a legacy. And you're going to be hearing me speak more and more about that this year, certainly in this particular workshop. So yes. So you might be thinking, well, those are amazing things, Bob. You're doing great. You're a positive guy, creative. You must have lived a charmed life. Well, oh no. So if you only know me through the voice that delivers affirmations, or maybe you know me through some of my books, you might not know the whole story. So I just want to share. I just want us to get to know each other better, so you know where I'm coming from, and not just to learn about me, but again, how can you apply the lessons that I have learned, the steps that I've been through, and apply them to your own goals and aspirations. Let me see, where was I here? Oh yeah, so I had very humble beginnings. Was not born with the proverbial silver spoon in my mouth. I was raised by a single mom. I was her only child. That's Juanita, my mom there. It's a photo in the top. She was around 19. I think she had me maybe 2 or 3 years after that. And then at the bottom there is a picture later in life when she was in Memphis, and a friend of hers took this picture. She's a big Elvis Presley fan, and so she had a picture next to an Elvis poster, and I've always treasured that. And my mom passed away way too early. I was 29, she was 51, and it definitely rocked my world to have lost her. I was like close to 35 years ago now. But I still feel her presence every day. She did an awesome job raising me, but she kind of struggled. She was a single mom, and she worked for a nonprofit. She had a kind of a rough childhood herself, and so she was kind of always financially scraping by, And so we grew up in or I grew up in a shotgun apartment in a four-family flat. So I never grew up in a home. She never actually owned a car. She took public transportation, and so but still, she did a wonderful job with the resources that she had. So I have great respect for moms and women and single moms in particular. But for whatever reason, I was an extremely shy, insecure kid. I mean, most kids are to some degree, but I had an extreme case of it, like in grade school and even into high school. It was very socially awkward. I had a pretty bad stutter. Still do at times. You probably hear me throughout this stumble over my words a little bit. Got picked on throughout grade school. I'll get out the violins. I know. Right? And so I would describe my upbringing as like lower middle class, I guess, upbringing. So I had no special, I didn't have access to money or connections or any kind of resources other than my own, kind of desires to do things. And I think I've done okay over my life. And so I want to share with you again that journey from kind of coming from obscurity and nothing to step by step how I got to the point where I am today. And so hopefully this will inspire you. Let me see what else I got here. So here's what we're going to cover today in this session. We may be here. Well, I'm only 13 minutes into it, and so it just could be up to 90 minutes ish. So if you can only pop in at times here live, this page that you're watching on becomes the replay page. So please come back, watch it from the beginning, watch the whole thing, because I think you're going to find some awesome stuff here. And so I'm going to be sharing my history. As I mentioned, it's going to be a good chunk of this and how I went from zero to where I am today. I'm going to be sharing my step-by-step, there's the 6-step impact formula. That's going to be a little bit later that I recommend that you use to grow an audience and leave a legacy. I'm going to tell you about a new 21-day program that starts January 11. That's 1 week from today as I record this. So that's pretty exciting. Definitely ties into this topic. And then I'm going to give you a summary of those 6 steps, which is basically you're going to be your marching orders for putting these principles into action. And throughout, I'll do my best to answer some questions as we go along here. And so that's what's in store. And so you might be saying, well, who is this for? Because I'm using this term purpose-driven creator. That's a term I've kind of latched on to. So what is that? It's just someone with a message to share. So this could be for you if you're an author or a coach. You want to grow an audience, connect with more people, increase your impact. Perhaps you're a musician, an artist, an actor. I'm all of those things. Who dreams of reaching a wider audience and making a living from your gifts. Perhaps you're an aspiring YouTuber, a podcaster, or blogger, who wants to reach more eyes and ears with your message, grow your following. You could also just be a person who has achieved the traditional definition of success, like you've got the car and the house and the job and the spouse, but you just feel like something is missing and you long to express yourself and make a difference. Maybe you just haven't been authentically expressing yourself the way you would like to. It's also for you if you're someone who has faced a major life challenge, like some of those testimonials I shared, like a loss, a career change, a health crisis, and you now feel inspired to turn that experience into something meaningful that helps others. You might be a retiree or empty nester. Maybe you're divorced or widowed. And now you want to dedicate time to a passion project, build a platform, or leave a legacy for future generations. Or maybe you're just someone who has been searching for clarity and confidence, and you're ready to, spread your message, but you just don't know how. You've never done this before, right? And so that's what we are in for here. I'm going to mention this one thing. Here I'm going to tell you more about it as we go along here. But again, next Saturday, January 11th, kicks off a new program that I'm doing. It's called Speak, Write, Create. 21 days to rock solid confidence for purpose-driven creators. And this is great if you've been procrastinating, if you've been wanting to share your message online and just either been fearful, uncertain of what to post, feeling too vulnerable to do it. Whatever the reason is you've been putting off, this is a great way to develop the habit of sharing. I'm going to make it really easy. Going to give you a lot of affirmations and mindset related things to boost your confidence so that you can get out there and share this gift that you have. Stop playing small. The world needs to hear what you have to share. So here's what I'm going to do. I did this. Actually a week ago. I did this very similar workshop on Zoom. Some of you may have been there. And so you had to register on Zoom, and we had a Zoom call. I recorded that Zoom call, and I have an edited version of it where I went through these same steps. And so instead of me talking again, actually I've had a little bit of a cough, a little scratchy throat lately. So to save my voice, I'm going to be playing segments from that workshop a week ago. And the good news is that they're edited. All the stumbles and tangents that I went on have been edited out. So you just get mostly the good stuff. And I'm going to play these in segments, and then I'm going to come back in between live and interact with you. And the good thing about playing a recording is that while those recorded segments are playing, I can actually keep an eye on the comments, highlight the ones. Feel free to leave questions or leave comments, and I will do my best to address as many of them as I can in those live breaks that I take. So that's what's in store here. I think that's it. So I'm going to queue up the first segment here, which is basically taking you back to the beginning of my journey and how I slowly, layer by layer, built up this ability to reach an audience with my message. All right. So thanks for being here. Here is part one of this journey. Here we go. All right. So this official story starts on the next slide in 1987 when I was 26 years old. But I just want to give you a little bit of quick backstory leading up to that point. Again, I was a shy kid and all that. But for my 15th birthday, I got my first electric guitar. And I was like a sophomore in high school. And I started immediately playing and jamming with people and playing in bands. And I never really stopped playing music. Actually did it. So this is, I guess, dating back to 1975 when I turned 15, and I've been playing to this day. And for a period in my early 20s, in the mid 80s, I played full-time music regionally and played every week. I was my full-time gig. It wasn't a great, abundant living. I was just eking by, but I was young and didn't have a lot of expenses or responsibilities, so I had a blast doing that. The full-time band thing kind of came to an end 84, 85, and I was in my mid 20s, and then I kind of had a creative explosion. I went to my first open mic night and ended up doing like stand-up comedy on a part-time basis for like 15 years. And so there's some semi-embarrassing photos. The one on the far left is a band promo picture we probably took in like 1982-ish, I'm thinking, and that's me on the bottom of the pyramid on the right there with the white spandex pants. So my apologies, you can't unsee that. But that's the deal. The picture in the middle is my first improv and sketch comedy group, which was formed in 1985. That photo was probably taken around 86. We were together for a couple of years. And then the photo on the right, that handsome devil with the perm, is late 80s. And that was like a promo photo that I took for my stand-up comedy and other entertainment things that I did. So this history coming up to 1987 is playing in bands, doing plays, doing theater, improv, stand-up comedy, was very active. And so I got over my shyness, obviously, and built confidence to be on a stage and to perform. So now, this official journey, though, started in 1987 at the age of 26, because it was January of that year. My birthday's in June, so obviously my age changes. The odometer flips over halfway through the year. But I started Spotlight, which is a music magazine that I published here in my hometown of St. Louis, Missouri, covered the local music scene. I did that for 10 years. And there's a promo shot of me with the perm in a bathtub is promoting the thing. And a couple of covers there, including Chuck Berry. And if you remember the band Cowboy Junkies, it's been a while. So this was a pivotal moment. And I realized this in creating this. I had like a lot of aha moments about my journey. And that this was the first time I created something that people were able to consume. I was able to reach people without having to be physically present, because all that other stuff that I did prior to 1987, playing in bands, being in plays, stand-up comedy, you had to be in the room with me to be able to benefit from what I was doing. That was just the way of the world. I mean, I ended up recording my music, and I put out a comedy cassette that I sold. back then. But that wasn't until after, that was more like the early to mid 90s when I created those things. So this is a pivotal thing. I became a journalist of my own making, very humble, small beginnings. I started off printing 1,000 copies in a dozen music stores and recording studios where I distributed the first issue, but it grew so that the high point of it, there's like 25,000 copies, two or 300 locations all over the St. Louis area. And this thing grew. But it was the first time where I was able to create something, distribute it physically. There was no digital, it was not on the internet. There was a physical newspaper that you had to pick up and read and hold it in your hands. But I was able to reach people without being physically present. So I started creating an audience and communicating with people locally, which was really cool. A lot of benefits came out of this, so I'll touch on here. So that's kind of like the beginning of this particular stage here. I also, even prior to starting the newspaper, I had aspirations. Like I thought about, it would be cool to publish a book. And I wanted to publish something on the music business and maybe how to start a band and, just share my best tips were at that time. But I didn't know how to go about it. Very expensive back then. So what I did is I started like around 1990 at age 30, I started this mail order catalog, printed mail order catalog, very small though. And it was, basically I set up arrangements with major publishers with existing music business books. I called them, set up a wholesale account. So I was offering other people's books, figuring I would just kind of like get involved in this area. And was mainly promoting it through my newspaper. But anyway, I can get the word out. Again, I didn't know how to publish a book, so I did what I could, and I self-published these short special reports, probably around 1992, age 30, 32. I'm going to put the years of my age there just to give you some perspective. And they were like 7 to 10 pages that I would just print off, staple together, and I would ship them as people ordered them and sell them for $5 or whatever. And they had titles like, 19 cash flow strategies for musicians and bands or unusual ways to promote yourself. That photo on the right there is like a friend of mine, Chuck Hughes. He's a great rockabilly guitar player. He was one of my earliest customers back in the 90s. He actually purchased these from me and I shipped them to him, and he brought these to a music conference in LA. He goes, "You remember these?" I had to get a picture holding those special reports. So here I was starting to create things that people could benefit from outside of St. Louis, even though my reach still was primarily in St. Louis, but I was starting to think about ways of reaching people outside of St. Louis. In 1992, also at age 32, a guy locally who had some video equipment approached me. He wanted to do like a local video show. He said, "Hey, we could call it the Spotlight Video Show, name it after your magazine. Would you like to host it?" Because he knew I did stand-up comedy and all that. And so this was another step where a couple of things with this one is that I started getting experience talking into a camera, and I've been on stage a lot, but talking into a camera was a whole different thing. And so I learned a lot about that and how to not to work with a script necessarily. Also, I had an improv experience, so I would just like have some bullet points in my brain and go, "Okay, roll it," and then I would just talk, and we would, take the best take. These shows were run on local access cable, and so it was another way that I was reaching an audience through another medium in St. Louis. So I had my print magazine, I had the Spotlight Video Show, and so I was just kind of gearing up to sharing who I am and what I do, mostly on a local level, thinking about spreading it beyond St. Louis and starting to dabble in that. And these talents or these skills or whatever, or this comfort level of speaking into a camera came into play much later. A lot of things happened in this era. I mentioned that I created that resource guide with books from other publishers. I would keep my eye out for new books that I saw. I saw this ad in a national magazine for this book about releasing an independent record. I reached out to the publisher, a guy named Gary. He lived in San Diego. We had a great conversation, made arrangements to cover his book. At the end of that call, he said, "Hey, I'm looking to expand my publishing company. If you know anybody with a good idea for a music business related title, let me know." I say, "I do know a guy, and that's me." And so I had written this special report, the stapled thing that I talked about. It was called 19 Ways to Make Money in the Music Business. And I said, I think I can expand this into 101 ways. So my first book that he published in 1993 was called 101 Ways to Make Money Right Now in the Music Business. Suddenly I was on the map. I was an author. And I remember holding that book in my hands for the first time and thinking, "Oh my God, this is like my future. I'm going to be doing this for decades to come." And sure enough, here, 16 books and other resources later, I'm still doing that. And so this got distribution. It was actually in bookstores here and there. And let me just actually show you. But here's a copy of that book that came out. And at the very end of it, I asked people, I said, being the music business cheerleader that I am, I like to encourage you to get a free copy of my musical success resource guide, the catalog that features this, that, and the other thing. And they had to actually write to me at my P.O. box to be able to get on that list. So I started getting like letters and postcards and things from people not only around the country but other countries. People actually wrote me things from Asia and Europe and all this stuff. And so now I was like reaching people that definitely was not limited to St. Louis. And this was like eye-opening too. And even though I ended up publishing my newspaper for another 4 years after that book came out, I just saw myself being more and more drawn to books. And I love this idea too. I remember it struck me when I was getting a little burned out on the monthly deadlines with my newspaper. I mean, so many benefits, so many ways I served the St. Louis community. But I love this idea of like spending weeks or months or however long, writing and creating a product like a book and then selling it and sharing it over and over and over again without it being like out of date within a month, right? And so that was a really alluring to me. And I eventually did put the newspaper to rest on the 10-year anniversary issue in 97 and just dedicated myself to books. So here again, I'm expanding my reach. So I was continuing to publishing my newspaper. My book was out, and I started writing a column within my own newspaper called the Musical Success Column, where I would get tips and inspiration from people that I interviewed as a result of publishing this newspaper. I got to interview a lot of really great bands, including like Sheryl Crow and people like that. So I wrote this in my own newspaper, but there were also other similar music newspapers in different cities across the country, and I started getting requests from other newspapers. Said, hey, could we run your column in our paper too? And I said, sure. And so now I'm like have this little mini syndication. Again, these are still print versions of things, but I'm like getting exposure for my music advice outside of St. Louis in addition to the book and all that. So things are starting to snowball. What I want you to notice in this story is how everything builds upon what was previously done. So you're planting seeds that seem small and humble at first, but they grow over time. They compound just like interest in the bank. And you build upon these things and it grows if you stay at it, which I have definitely been dedicated to this process. So these columns, so they're being syndicated. I'm reaching people outside of St. Louis. Then another pivotal point comes around 94, late 94, early 95. I got my first AOL account. Remember America Online? They sent out all those floppy disks. And that was the main way to get on the internet. And so I was online for the first time in the primitive early years of the internet. These articles that I was already writing, I started getting approached by people who had music sites saying, hey, can we print your articles online? Or I would seek them out and I'd go, hey, I have these free articles. I didn't ask for any money for them because I knew the benefit was if I could reach musicians with little chunks of my advice and then have a little plug at the end that people could get on my email list. This is a little more advanced one, but in the early days, I would just have my AOL address there. Hey, would you like to get on my musical success resource guide? And delivered by email, and they'd have to email me to request to get on it. So things were very primitive back then, but I saw the beauty of reaching people through email and through this new thing called the internet. There is a website that some of the musicians here might be aware of called Taxi. It started in the early 90s, and this is one of the earliest articles that I could find. It says this article originally published in 1994, Secrets of Making Money in the Music Business. I think this was an excerpt from my book that I made available. And they still have it on their website to this day from 1994. So again, I've been doing this stuff for a long time. Now I have access to a global audience. Even though the internet was new, I just continued to build upon it. But this was a pivotal moment of going online and being able to build an email list, which I just saw the benefits of early on. Well, that snuck up on me. So that is the end of part one of my journey. There's going to be, we're going to have part two that leads up to the present day. We're going to take another break after that, and then I'm going to reveal to you the 6 steps to grow an audience, make an impact, and leave a legacy. Couple things. I'm back live, by the way. I'm doing a combination of live things and some pre-recorded segments. So I am back live with you here. I'm going to right now just acknowledge some comments that have been left. Answer one or two or one question in particular, and then I will, then we'll be moving along here. But I just want to say, let's see here. Hello from, is it Niels? Coming in, watching from Denmark. Appreciate you being here. PM has some kind words there. I appreciate you being here. Anna is a Spaniard from France. So happy to see you as well. We got Cheryl Clark is here watching live from Atlanta, regular listener. Appreciate the affirmations. Oops, let me get those, lower those a little bit down here. There we go. And then we got Joanna from North Carolina watching. So those are some of the people who have left comments. I know there are many more. Feel free to leave a comment and let me know where you're watching from. Even if you're watching the replay later, I just like to get a sense of who's watching and who's connecting here. And so whether it's live or the replay, leave a comment. Jim of Jim Wall Coaching asked, just curious, Bob, is writing jokes or doing comedy still part of your life? And so in two ways it is. And so there was a 15-year period where I did actual stand-up comedy. We're talking like 85 to like 99 or 2000. I did stand-up comedy on a part-time basis. Like I never hit the road because I was busy doing my newspaper. I was busy publishing books, and then eventually in the later 90s, raising my daughter, and so I never hit the road. But I did it. Did it part time, mostly locally, and it was fun. I being a musician, I was known more for my song parodies. I did rate regular straight stand up too, but when I brought the guitar in, that's what kind of really set me apart. These days, the only way I do comedy is I still continue to teach and perform improv comedy. So it's not stand-up; it's ensemble work. If you've ever seen the show "Whose Line Is It Anyway?" or I think most people are know what improv is these days. But I teach it. I've been doing that for 10 or 12 years, and I perform it. I have a group of like veteran performers, and we do a show maybe once every other month here in St. Louis, and I love that. And I've done regular theater too, where you have to memorize lines, but I haven't done a traditional play in a long time. I'm just so spoiled with not having to memorize lines and just improvise. So that's my main comedy outlet. And then every Sunday, my wife and I stream live on her YouTube channel with something called Sunday Inspiration Live, and there's a regular segment there called Bob's Comedy Corner, where I basically find dad jokes on the internet on a particular topic and deliver those. But I'm often rewriting them, changing the setup or the punchline, and every now and then we'll write some of my own jokes. But I never really was writing jokes, although I did a little sketch comedy writing years ago. So that's kind of like, but humor just in general is one of my top three values: creativity, inspiration, and humor or laughter. I think it's so important. We take life so seriously as adults in particular, and so humor is just really something that's important to me. I like to laugh and help other people laugh. Well, hello, Bill Higley. Good to see you there as well, my friend. Another St. Louisan who we get the honor of running into in person every now and then. All right, before we get to part two of my journey, and this part two is going to lead up to the present with currently what's going on with YouTube, and even my association with Hay House is kind of where that ends. I just want to remind you about this program. It starts January 11th. It's a 21-day program called 21 Days to Rock Solid Confidence as a Purpose-Driven Creator. I got that little image there. Is this it here? Yeah, there you go. There's a little photo of me holding up my silver plaque that I got when my channel hit 100,000 subscribers. As I mentioned earlier, I'm now beyond 400,000 subscribers, but that's always cool to show that. But this course has two parts to it. It's super affordable, although there's like three different levels, but the basic level is incredibly affordable. I'm going to show you, actually I'm going to share my screen and show you when you just sign up at the basic level, you get access to some online materials. And here's what it looks like. Here's what the course platform looks like. I host this on a website called Kajabi. There's some opening things where it tells you how to get the most out of the program and all that good stuff. But it consists of two parts. And so it's mindset and then it's action steps. And so on the mindset side, you get a series, there's 4 audio recordings that are and one of them is I am affirmations. Another one are you are affirmations, where I give also like an inspirational pep talk, like from a coach or a friend. There's a sleep affirmation version, it's an hour long that you play at bedtime. And then I have a guided visualization that also includes this really cool, fun role-playing where I interview you as if you have already achieved this influencer level, and I'm asking you questions like you're a guest on my podcast or whatever. And so for the 21 days, 2 or 3 times a day, queue up one of these recordings. Obviously, the sleep one's going to be at night, but you can mix and match these throughout the day, so you're not listening to the same one all the time. But you're really just going to go all in on bombarding your mind and your soul with confidence about I have something of value. I have a talent or gift that needs to be shared. I'm confident in doing this, and so you're going to pump up that side of your mind. There's also a video there where I talk about how to develop unstoppable confidence based on some science-backed things that I researched. And so that's on the mindset side. And then on the action side, you get a PDF of an ebook that I created called 30 Easy Social Media Sharing Ideas, where you have this buffet of easy, non-spammy things that are like authentic, and they're not always like self-promotional too, but just things that you can share that are going to reach people so that you never have to go, I don't know what to share. Nobody here wants to hear what I have to. No, there's pick something off this list, and there's other aspects of it where I ask you to pick, have a primary platform you're going to focus on, whether it's YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, whatever that's going to be. Have a primary platform, although you can cross-post if you want to. And have a primary mode of communicating. Are you more with the written word? Is video your thing? Audio? Maybe it's images, graphics. Or you can mix and match them and make it interesting and play. So this is all about not taking this stuff so seriously, just to build the muscle of sharing that whatever that gift is that you have. And there's also a video there called the 5 Pillars of Purpose-Driven Social Media. So those are all the things that you get with the basic level of the course. And then in addition to that, that level comes with 3 live Zoom calls. The first one will be January 11. There are 3 Saturdays in a row. They start at 10 a.m. Eastern, and they'll go from 60 to 90 minutes long, where we get to interact live. I get to see you and hear you. We get to know each other and all the people going on this journey with you. And so please, I encourage you to check that out. And the website, it's in the description of the video. If you're watching I'm also streaming on Facebook. If you're watching there, it's in the description there as well. But bobbakerinspiration.com/rock, as in 21 days to rock solid. Plus, I like rock music too. But bobbakerinspiration.com/rock is the website. So go and check that out. Choose one of the levels. Doesn't matter to me as long as you participate, and I think it would really you'd really benefit. And so stop procrastinating and say, someday I'm going to get around to sharing this awesome thing that I have to share, and just do it. All right, so now we're going to go into part 2 of the journey. I believe it's picking up with my a book that kind of put me on the map as an author. So check out part 2, and I'll continue to leave comments. I'll come back live after this section, and we'll continue the party here. Here we go. All right. In 1996-ish, at the age of 36, I took a collection of those columns that I had written. I took 15 of my favorite ones. I edited them and beefed them up. I still didn't know how to publish a paperback book, but I took them to Kinko's. Remember Kinko's? And had them printed on 3-hole punch paper. I put them in a 3-ring binder, had a very ugly cover, actually just not even represented here. And my first version of the Guerrilla Music Marketing Handbook was in a 3-ring binder. I played with the packaging, and eventually in the 2000s, digital print on demand became more and more available. You can see I did the cover on the left there, probably in the early 2000s, and then I hired a designer, probably mid 2000s, to do that nicer looking cover there. But this is the book that put me on the map, really, as a music marketing resource. And I wrote that for at least 15, if not 20 years. And I guess, like I said, there are people here that have been following me since that era of my life, which I greatly appreciate. And so this really kicked things into gear. It was a slow start, but as this became my flagship title that I became highly acclaimed for and known for, and built an audience by distributing these free articles, and eventually had my own website. I mentioned that 14 of my 16 books I published myself. That first one obviously was from a publisher, But I got approached by a publisher in 2000 to write a book called Branding Yourself Online. It's the only other book that I did not publish myself. And they liked the way that I was branding myself as a music marketing guy. Even in 2000, I was at age 41 when this book was published in 2001. And looking back on it, it was the first book on how to become an online influencer. I didn't use that term in the book, but it really was, because look at the subtitle, is How to Use the Internet to Become a Celebrity or Expert in Your Field. And it was the first book on personal branding online, and long before being an influencer was even a thing. So I'm pretty proud as I look back in hindsight that that was kind of a trailblazing book. Yeah, I've got a shorter version of it with more timeless principles that's available now. But both of these publishing companies have gone out of business, so the rights have reverted back to me in both of these books published by other companies. All right, so that was pretty cool. And then I think it was like around 2002 that Amazon. You may remember when Amazon first came on the scene, they were only a bookstore. They were the first prominent internet bookstore. Of course, they added a lot of other things over the years. And I got my book available on Amazon. So now here's a platform that people are going to for books. I'm extending my reach. I'm just like paying attention to what's getting attention. What am I hearing a lot about? What are people gravitating toward and using? Oh, is there an opportunity for me to make my stuff available there? And that's just like, you just have to have that on your radar. It's just the way that I think, because it's not in how can I get more followers and be cooler. It's like I have this message to share. I know from the feedback that I'm getting that it's valuable for the people that are ideally suited to receive this message. So how can I get this to more people? And so I just keep my eye out for things. And when Amazon became available, they had a way for independent publishers to get their stuff on there. I did it. So that started in 2002. And then a lot of things happened in the mid-2000s. I started blogging 2004 at age 44, music promotion blog. By this point, I had also established my website called thebuzzfactor.com. And that term came out of, there was this website in the late 90s, early 2000s called getsigned.com. And they were one of the sites that was running my free articles. And the guy that ran that wanted me to come up with a name for the column there that I regularly posted, contributed to. And I just came up with this term, the buzz factor, because that was a term about, this band has the buzz factor. People are talking about them. And I ended up making that my domain name for my music marketing website when I finally established one on my own. But I was blogging then. 2005, I produced my first podcast. I was hearing more and more about podcasts, and it was in its infancy back then. But again, hearing about this trend, here's a way for me to reach people with my voice. That first podcast was called Artist Empowerment Radio. You can see that very poorly designed logo on the left there. That morphed into the Music Marketing Podcast, and then I had a separate one. And both of those two on the middle and the right are still active podcasts. I just don't post to them regularly. But there's the Creative Entrepreneur, from a wide range of creative people, and then the Music Marketing Podcast. There are a couple of people who first heard about podcasting because they were musicians on my email list, and they heard about this when I first started talking about it and launched my own podcast in 2005, who have gone on to do some pretty cool things. One of them, Dave Jackson, who now runs the School of Podcasting, first heard about podcasting from me. Jason Van Orden, also a musician friend who heard about podcasting, was fascinated with it, and ended up for many years published Internet Business Mastery, I think is what it's called. It was like the most prominent internet business podcast for many years running. He's now moved on to other things, but it was kind of cool to have an impact on that. I didn't stay consistent with podcasting. I was in and out of it, but those guys took it and ran with it, and I'm really glad that I was there to make them aware. I hope this journey is giving you some insights into how you build upon everything that's come before. Keep your eyes open for opportunities to spread your message. In 2006, I was hearing about this new thing called YouTube, a video channel. And the internet was progressing at this point. So for many years, it was basically a text-based thing. So you were, blogging and email and things like that, because the technology was a little funky for multimedia. Although in the early 2000s, if you recall, that's when Napster and people started sharing MP3s, which really disrupted the whole music business. So as the internet matured, you were able to share more audio and then video too. But YouTube was founded in 2005. I joined it in 2006 at the age of 46. And I posted my first video called The 3-Step Formula for Creative Success. And it was about mindset. It was about the be do have principle. So anyway, it was interesting to me that my first YouTube video back then was more on this mindset, personal development stuff, which I ended up going heavy into. So that was 2006. All right. Let's see here. 2007, I was approached by Berklee College of Music in Boston to create an online course. They were just developing their online curriculum, and they knew I was the music marketing guy. And I met a guy at South by Southwest who kind of runs that aspect of their business. And so I created Music Marketing 101. It ran for 5 years. I've never been to Boston. I've never been to the campus of Berklee, but I taught that class for 5 years from my home studio where I'm sitting right now delivering this presentation. I taught students all over the world who signed up through Berklee. I had students not only across the US, but I remember Romania and South America and Asia and Mexico, Canada. Many of those students I actually have stayed in touch with over the years. So there's just another way that I'm reaching people. A lot of these opportunities, after a while, they come to you because you have some sort of an online presence. People find you because you're showing up in the places where they're hanging out. They maybe have seen you repeatedly. When they need somebody that has your skills, they go, oh, yeah, so and so does that thing. Let's see if he'd be interested in doing this. And so that's just a point. Again, even though this is my story, how can you apply this to your life? That's why just showing up online in a specific way over time, it leads to benefits and opportunities that wouldn't have shown up if you're just sitting back, playing it safe, waiting for the perfect time. So just, I mean, I'm going to come back to this. My message is to start sharing and figuring it out as you go along the way. And you just never know what's going to come up. All right. So over these many years that we're talking about, I've received a good amount of media exposure. I've been guest on many podcasts over the years. Back around 2007, I think I was first on NPR, and not the local NPR, but like a morning edition. And then a few years after that, I was on Marketplace. I've been in The Guardian, which is like a big newspaper over in the UK. Publishers Weekly, which is a big one for the book industry. I've been there a couple of times for various things. And then some of those other music and elder magazines and regional dailies and all that stuff. And so, yeah, and most of those came to me because they were seeking out an expert on a particular topic. And my name came up because I was active online. Same thing with podcast interviews. People reach out and go, oh, let's have Bob on. And I've also run my own podcast and interview shows and all that good stuff. So just, again, it's another way that I'm reaching people, creating awareness for what I do. Hopefully they read that and they'll come and seek me out and look up my books on Amazon or get on my email list or with whatever. So it's just all these things, again, are layering upon layer of reaching an audience and getting your message out there with the ultimate goal of positively impacting people. All right. And then let's fast forward to 2016. This is like 8 years ago. At the age of 56, I uploaded my very first affirmation video. There's the thumbnail of it right there. It was about attracting money. This was actually a series of recordings that I created for myself because I was seeking out something specific to help me get out of a financial and a career funk that I was going through back then. Couldn't find what I was looking for. And so I just created something on my own, and I took the audio, made it a video from this program, just threw it up on my YouTube channel in a sense of experimentation. And after a while, I noticed, oh, wow, this is getting views. This is interesting. So over the course of the next year, I would periodically post more of these affirmation videos. And then once I saw that this was like a thing, I'm going to just go all in on affirmations. And that's when the channel, I published this first one in 2016. I had less than 4,000 subscribers. And it quickly grew to 20,000 and then 40 and then 80 and now over 400,000 subscribers. So I couldn't be more thrilled that I paid attention to what people were responding to. All right. And then a year ago this month, I became a Hay House teacher. If you're not familiar, Hay House is the publishing company that founded by Louise Hay. And there are a lot of prominent authors in the spiritual and personal development genre in particular, people like Wayne Dyer, Abraham Hicks, Joe Dispenza. There's so many people what's happening is that they have this app that's a subscription app and you get access to all of their audio content, audiobooks, live workshops, all kinds of stuff, meditations for like $70 a year. It's called Empower You, and they're running currently 13 of my affirmation recordings are available in the app. Yeah, I see Lisa clapping there. And so, and that screenshot there is a year ago. That's when I had my first meeting with their audio team. And I was just so excited. I said, hey, can I get a screenshot of this? And so that was just wonderful. But even though I'm very independent minded, I'm so glad that I took the indie route as an author and a publisher. I've always admired Hay House. And if I'm going to be associated with a company, that's the ideal one for me at this stage of my life. And so, yeah, I'm really excited. I'm hoping to grow that relationship, but time will tell how that pans out. So this is an ever evolving story. But this is yet another way of reaching more people, right? So there are people that have discovered me inside of their app, who maybe didn't know about my YouTube channel or whatever. And I'm also helping to bring people to their platform too. So it kind of works both ways now that I've got an audience. And actually, here's the thing that attracted me or made me attractive to Hay House was the fact that I had this following. So the more you grow this audience, the more benefits, the more ways that you can leverage it to get even more exposure, to partner with people and companies. So there's just so many benefits. I cannot emphasize the importance of just staying at it, growing little by little. It may seem like you're slow progress, but you just continue to build on what you've previously done. You clarify things. I'm going to get to those steps in a little bit, but you can tell I'm kind of excited about this. And then again, no specific years, but over these years, I've created a presence online. I remember 2007, I think, was a pivotal year for social media for me. That's when I first started a Facebook account, a Twitter account. Probably within a year or two, I was on LinkedIn. Instagram came later. But if I was hearing about a social media platform that a lot of people seem to be using, I said, well, maybe I should at least have a profile there and play around with seeing if this is a place where I could share my message. Combined follower totals of over 50,000 people on all those various social media platforms. But still, YouTube's the primary one, followed by the podcast, followed by email. Those are my holy trinity, I guess. And then the other stuff is just icing on the cake. In addition, I published many other books on mostly Amazon. So again, as the internet matured and there were these platforms that one could use to distribute whatever it was unique to that platform, I would take advantage of it. So I got not only the 16 physical books, but I've got things that are ebook and audiobook format only. People go to Amazon to look for books. And so I've been discovered there. And then people find out, oh, he's got a website. Oh, he has a YouTube channel. So these things start cross-pollinating each other. The more arms of the octopus, if you will, that you got out there, they feed each other. And the more potentially you can grow as a result of that. Also, just two other platforms, Audible. I've got like 7, I think, audiobooks now, Audible, record on my own from my home studio here using this very microphone and setup. Also, I've created a lot of online courses. There's Udemy is one of the sites, but I'm also using a established website called Kajabi, where you're going to be seeing a lot more of my courses moving forward. So I'm always experimenting and keep my eyes out for the best tools to be using to spread my message, both for free and then where I can offer things for sale too. All right, there you go. That's the full pre-recorded workshop journey. It's a long one, and I apologize for speaking so fast, and the editing there also made it a little choppy at times. But I hope you were able to absorb that. There's a couple of comments here about people who have, like Tracy was saying, that she's gone back and listened to it again, and there's so much that I'm throwing at you. I will admit that if you in repeated listenings, you will. You might well pick up something that you didn't the first time, if that speaks to you. But my whole purpose of that, I know that I'm going to cover like a 40-year period there, so there's a lot there. So don't think, oh my God, that's so much, Bob, I can't possibly do that. Just keep in mind that these things happen layer upon layer. They were, they were just little baby steps that I took, and they compound over time, which is why I really encourage you to consider, again, signing up for and joining us on Speak Right, Create 21 Days to Rock Solid Confidence for Purpose-Driven Creators. As I mentioned earlier, let's see here. What do I got? I thought I had a little something here, but I'm not finding it here. Or is it this one? There we go. There's 2 sections to it. There's the mindset part where you're going to be using affirmations and audio recordings and one video that I created to pump up the mindset aspect of this, where you're reminding yourself that you have something of value to share, that you can develop the confidence to share your message and your talent. There are people out there willing are waiting to hear from you. So there's that side of it, and then there's the practical action side of it where you're going to start building the muscle now of posting something, anything online. Don't overthink it. Don't get stuck in the perfection curse. I'm going to give you a long list of at least 30 easy social media sharing ideas. You pick one a day, share it on the platform of your choice, and however you want to share it. So you're just going to get in the habit of doing that. And here's the point I want to make. I'm going to ask and answer one question, and then I'm gonna go on and share some other really cool stuff with you in the final piece here. But have you been delaying this? Like, have you? I just know a lot of people. I talk to a lot of what I call purpose-driven creators or aspiring people that have something that they want to do in the world. And they procrastinate. I'm not ready. I'm just, I know I'm not sure what I'm doing yet. But the thing is, you just need to start, and you just need to start before you're ready. Because here's the thing, it takes, like, when you start doing this stuff, you're taking baby steps, you're experimenting, you're trying to, and I'll get to this when I talk about the 6 steps, this impact formula that I'm about to share with you. Is that you clarify things as you go. You don't have, yes, you can have some clarity and some confidence. Then you from that position, you start taking action. But the reverse is also true. Start taking action, put stuff out there. As you go, you're going to clarify what's resonating with you. It lights you up. And then your audience is going to let you know, like they do with my affirmations, like, oh, this is something that people want more of. So I'm going to do more of that thing because I love doing it. So it's, so don't delay. So here we are at the beginning of a new year. Were there goals that you set a year ago, maybe along these lines, that you just really didn't take any action on? So you're still where you were a year ago. So I'm encouraging you to start now, because the fruit is going to take a while. It's going to take months of you sharing, to clarify, to start connecting with people to where you feel like you're making more of an impact. But so start now. Start planting those seeds. And then a year from now, you'll be amazed when you look back where you will be. So I really encourage you, to check out the program. And again, that website is, and that link is in the description. Lisa's putting it in the live chat here. bobbakerinspiration.com/rock. And it starts January 11th. We got 3 live Zoom calls. So I can't, we can't stress enough how important this will be if you really do want to get a message and share it with the world. All right, don't wait. Start before you're ready. Earlier, Jim asked another question. Where was? Oh, wait, I highlighted it here. Oh, I've wrestled a bit over the years with how to define inspiration. Okay, do you have any thoughts on that? I guess different people will have different definitions of it, but I talked about the 3 values earlier, which is creativity, inspiration, and laughter. And each of these I view through 2 different lenses. One is personal, how I relate to that value, and then how I can influence others through that. So we'll just focus on the inspiration. I'll make this really quick. It'll be a broad overview. But for me personally, when I think of inspiration, it's when I get this idea that lights me up. When I get, oh, wow, there's this really cool thing that I want to do. I'm inspired. Quite often, that inspiration will come from seeing someone do a certain thing, and I'm going, oh, that looks like it would be awesome. I want to do that too. That's really how I like music. I saw other bands playing. I went my first, as I mentioned, I think I'm going to be mentioning it in the upcoming segment. My first major concert that I saw was Led Zeppelin, and I was a huge fan. And it was such a huge moment for me that inspired me. So I'll share that story in a little bit. You read a book that just like, oh my God, this is like this eye-opening moment. This author's just shared something with me. I'm going to talk about Wayne Dyer, I believe, in this next segment too, and how he influenced me. And so at some point you go, well, I like writing. I wonder if I could inspire others too. And so for me personally, inspiration is that thing that lights you up when you have this idea and you feel like compelled to do something about it. Or you see you're just inspired when you can see a piece of art. You go to see a play or a movie and it's like it makes you feel good. That's another source of, I guess you don't always have to act on it, but maybe you listen to a song that just lifts you up. So that's kind of inspiration. And then from another point, since I benefit from that feeling of being inspired, being lit up, I encourage others to do the same things. Like this, kind of similar to humor, the humor topic. I think people just kind of get into autopilot and they start walking through their lives, going through the motions, and they forget to share their gifts. They forget to do things that are fun and creative and invigorating. And so I don't know if that kind of answers the question, but inspiration is that idea that you get that kind of lights you up or just makes you feel good from experiencing a certain thing. And there's some aspects of that where you want to share that, you want to do the thing yourself or just share that with other people. Even if it's like, I read this book, it's amazing. Here, you should read it too. That's kind of like sharing. Or you could go, I want to write a book. That's the next, it's a bigger step up. But that's the way that I'm initially thinking about it. But that's a great question. I really had to think about that. All right, where are we at? Oh, so we've been sitting. If you've been with me the whole time here, we've been sitting for a little bit. I've mentioned that I'm a musician, and one of the things that I've started to do that people seem to like, a certain segment of my audience seems to like, is I've been singing affirmations over like electronic music beats. And so we're just going to get a little break here. If you've been sitting in particular, watching this whole thing, feel free if you're able to get up. I'm just going to play a little snippet of this song that's on the YouTube channel, just to kind of as a little palate cleanser. Then we're going to come back and I'm going to play the final segment of our session here, and we'll wrap things up. All right, this is called "Life Is Good," and I am grateful. I'm just going to play it for you right here, just a little bit. Feel free to get up and move. Life is good, and I am grateful. Life is good, and I am grateful. Here we go. Hit it. Yes. Life is good, and I am thankful. Feel free to sing that to yourself too. That's right. Life is good, and I am thankful. Yeah, good things are happening to me. Good things are happening now. Good things are happening to me. Good things are happening now. Life is good, and I am grateful. Oh, so grateful. Life. All right, I'm going to fade out on that right now. I just want to share a little snippet of that just to kind of get the energy going. And so let's continue on with something I call the impact factor the impact formula, I should say. Here we go. There's a little mock-up of it. It's not a physical book. But I'm gonna share with you kind of in depth what these 6 steps are. But you can actually download a free copy of this short ebook called the impact formula that goes through this stuff. And you can get that at bobbakerinspiration.com/impact. Same thing as for my program, it's bobbakerinspiration.com/rock, as in rock solid confidence. But if you want to download that guide and you don't have it yet, you're not on my email list yet, bobbakerinspiration.com/impact. And so you'll have at your fingertips kind of short versions of this. But let's do the whole thing. And I'm going to cue that up, and I'll come back at the end to say a farewell and wrap things up. Appreciate you being here. Enjoy this 6 steps to building a global audience right here. And here we go. All right. So that is the story. I know that was a long one. That was a long history there and I've never again given an in-depth chronological overview of my story. I hope that was instructive. And so now the impact formula is the framework that I'm going to be sharing with you now. It's 6 steps. Basically, I take the word impact and I turned it into an acronym, which each letter stands for a different word in this process. So it's basically 6 steps to grow an audience, make an impact, and leave a legacy. So I shared my story. I've also not only taken my experiences, but the hundreds of people that I've interviewed, I see patterns with them on how they grew an audience. And so I like to think that this is the roadmap to use if you have similar aspirations. And you might be thinking to yourself, oh, God, I don't have 40 years to do this, Bob. You've done this over many, many decades. You were on early on. I know. When I started, things were pretty primitive, but right now, if you have a smartphone, you have a whole multimedia production studio in your pocket. There's no excuse why you shouldn't be sharing something online. So start now if you haven't started already, or recommit to it if you've been doing it half-assed for the last months or years. I think you could still make a difference. Start small and grow over time. Again, I'm taking the word impact, breaking it down into an acronym. The I stands for identify your mission, purpose, and passion. By the way, I have a free ebook version of this that is available to you. Some of you may already have it, but if you don't, you can just go to bobbakerinspiration.com/impact. I'm sure Lisa will pop that into the comments, and you can just fill out your email and then get access to a PDF version of these 6 steps. But here I'm going to go into a little bit more detail, give you some context. So that's an option for you that I encourage you to do if you haven't done so already. So step 1, identify your mission, purpose, and passion. So what lights you up? Do you know what your topic is? Do you know who you want to serve? Do you know how your work or your talent, your story is going to improve their lives? Dialing in that is really the first step. But here's the thing. Some of you are already at an evolved level of your journey, and you're really clear about how you serve and what you do. Although I would encourage you to be open to other opportunities, that come along the way. Don't be too tunnel vision about it. But some of you might be at a point where, I'm not sure. I could do this, I could do that. I have a variety of interests. So you don't need every detail at this stage, but you do need a starting point. You need a specific direction to start heading into, and clarity will come as you move down that road. But don't wait to start until you think you got it all figured out, because this stuff doesn't, you can't intellectualize your niche. You have to get out there and start sharing things. But just identify what's your mission, what's your purpose, what's the thing you're passionate about, what's something that you could write about and talk, speak, whatever, record about for years to come. So what lights you up? Who do you want to serve? How will your work improve their lives? Just identify what that is. Got a couple of images there. This is where, again, I got my first electric guitar when I was 15. When I was 16, going on 17, in 1977, the first major concert I saw was Led Zeppelin. Yes, I saw Led Zeppelin live, and I was a huge Jimmy Page fan. It was my favorite band, and I couldn't believe that I saw them live, and I was so excited the night I came home from that concert, and I put on my electric guitar without plugging it in because my mom was asleep. And I was just jammed on that thing, and I saw myself on stage in front of people. There was this really emotional visualization. Talk about passion and purpose. And I said, I am going to be a rock star. And I was 16 at the time. By the time I turned 21, I am going to be playing music. I'm going to be in a band. And that was for 4 or 5 years into the future. When I was heading toward my 21st birthday, I've been jamming with people. I've been consistently playing, but I wasn't in a band. We certainly weren't out playing and making money. So I started running ads, answering ads, auditioning. And within a few months of turning 21, I was playing in a band. I quit whatever job I did it full time for 3-4 years. And so that was just an example in my life of having this vision and a passion for it and just moving toward it. Now I ended up realizing that being a full-time musician wasn't the route that I would eventually take long-term. And so again, these things are flexible, but it got me moving in a direction which led to other opportunities. Same thing when it was January 1st of 1987. I was in that New Year's resolution frame of mind. I remember writing down on a notebook the initial idea for Spotlight magazine. A lot of these things start in a notebook where I capture my ideas. I had no idea what I was doing. I never published a newspaper. I would go to journalism school, didn't work for the school newspaper or anything. Just had this idea. And within 3 weeks, I had the first issue out in that January of that year. So I ended up, again, it was ugly at first. I learned so much, people pointing out typos and things, but I ended up doing it for 10 years. And I learned so much about layout and design, serving an audience, that really helped me when I went to publish my own books. I already had a lot of these skills developed that I could use. So, yeah, in another way. And so there's just a couple examples for me when I identified a mission, a purpose, a passion, and just started moving toward it. You don't have to have everything figured out from the get go. All right, step two in this acronym, the M stands for monitor. You want to monitor your mindset by observing your thoughts. So, whenever you start pursuing a worthy goal or you start heading off in this direction, you're going to have stuff come up, man. There's no better way to uncover your thoughts and your beliefs than to pursue a worthy goal or something that stretches you, especially one that involves putting yourself out there and being vulnerable on the world stage or whatever. So, in this step, you monitor your thoughts and beliefs and you become aware of the thoughts that serve you and especially of the thoughts that are holding you back. Right? So this whole thing is about what's driving me when you have these reactions to, ooh, I'm resistant to doing this. Like, okay, what is that? Where does that come from? What's the belief, the underlying belief? And is that true? And most of the time you're going to go, no, it's not true. It's just fear. It's just my ego or whatever trying to keep me safe. Right. And so this is really important. And so so there's three things that you want to do. One is become aware of the beliefs that are steering your life. Because most of the time we go through life on autopilot. We're not even aware of them. So here you want to be hyper aware of how you're responding to things. And when you notice things, especially that are not serving you, first you acknowledge them. Oh, I have this belief that I'm not worthy, or that I'm not, that who am I to, whatever it is. And then you take steps to lower the volume. You ask questions like, is this real? No, it's not real. God, I've got something of value here. And then you lower the volume on the negative beliefs and you crank up the volume on the positive ones and you replace them. Like, for instance, if you have a limiting belief like I'm not good enough, you replace it with an empowering truth, like an affirmation, like I am capable, creative, I'm ready to shine, which is what those affirmations in the program are going to drill into your brain. They're all geared toward building that confidence to share your message. And so this is part of the monitor stage. There's an image of a book there called Your Erroneous Zones. And that's a book, Wayne Dyer, his first popular book came out in the mid 70s. And around 1977, I was a senior in high school, and my friend Gary Miller, I'll just always appreciate him for this. He saw that I was really struggling. And he said, hey, man, I read this book. It really helped me. Maybe it'll help you too. It was the first self-help book I ever read. And it just completely changed my life, changed my outlook, where I finally realized that, oh my gosh, these thoughts that I'm having about me being an insecure person are not who I am. Because up until that point, I was like, well, I'm feeling these things. I'm feeling this, tension in my body. That's who I am. I'm an insecure person. But no, your thoughts are not who you are. They're just thoughts that you're thinking that are influencing how you feel about yourself and the world. And so it was liberating, and it sent me down a personal growth path that I'm still on to this day, and ended up now I'm trying to inspire others with this too, right? Luckily, I got that information at a pretty young age when I was still in my teens. A lot of people don't realize it until they're in their 40s or 50s or whatever. I have another image there, the Quiet the Monkey Mind meditation. This is just a reference to when I first started publishing affirmations on my YouTube channel. I had an inner critic going, oh man, Bob, this is so different than what you've done. All your music marketing people are going to rebel. Like, what are you doing talking about all this woo-woo stuff? So I was like preparing myself. I still went ahead and did it, but I was preparing myself for a backlash because it was kind of different than the stuff I'd been doing up to this point. But I never got any backlash. I don't remember ever hearing anyone going, oh, I'm out of here. Maybe people unsubscribed. I don't know. But in fact, the opposite, a lot of these people that originally followed me for music marketing just follow me over into the new thing because it's positive. We all need this stuff, right? About a better mindset, to feel inspired and motivated and all this good stuff. So these are how I have dealt with these things. All right. Step 3, the P stands for plan. So you figured out your mission. You're starting to monitor your thoughts. Now you need to create a flexible roadmap of small, consistent action steps. This is where, again, this isn't set in stone. It can evolve, but you have to have a direction to set off into. With this, since we're talking about growing an audience, making an impact, 2 things that you will be part of this plan is initially you got to choose your platform. So you don't want to be everywhere. You can't be everywhere. Will you share your message on YouTube? Will it be more of a blog? Do you think Instagram is your thing? Maybe it's a podcast or it's off the internet. Maybe I encourage you to do the internet, but maybe you're more of a live event, public speaking type of person. What's your primary platform? And maybe choose a secondary one, but I would keep it to one or two. What's your platform? Also define your format or your mode of communication. So do you communicate best with the written word, like a blog post kind of thing? Video content? And with video content, you could be on screen, but you can, there's faceless video channels too that you can do. Live streams. Like my wife, Pookie, she does not want to edit stuff, and I don't have the time to edit a whole lot of her videos. Well, she's a very spontaneous person. If she tries to organize things, which is the way I like to do things, it just doesn't work for her. But she can go live on Facebook and YouTube and just have like a title, and she's brilliant. So that's her main thing: live streaming, just going live, going for it raw and all, and then it's posted and it's done. But not everybody is comfortable with that. It terrifies other people. So maybe it's an audio recording. Do you like spontaneously speaking in a microphone without being on camera? Maybe a podcast is your thing. So choose your primary platform and then choose the mode. You can play with these things over time, but just some kind of a roadmap. And that includes consistent baby steps. Keep the plan simple. Just know that you're not locked into it if you change your mind. Think of it as a launch pad, not a final destination. And so you need this plan. And again, what are the consistent steps? There's a quote here: planning is bringing the future into the present so you can do something about it now. I like that quote. All right. So that's the P. That's step 3. We're halfway there. Step 4, activate. This is where you got your plan now. Now you got to start implementing it. You got to take the action, right? You got to start creating, start sharing, start building that momentum, because it's going to take time. You're not going to be, unless you've hit on something magically, you won't be an overnight viral sensation. So it's going to take time. So start now. Start planting those seeds. Build new habits and develop a doable daily and weekly routine that you can just start implementing. And the key here, which is why this 21-day program is going to be so helpful for you, is the consistency is the key to overcome fear and build confidence. You just want to get out there and start doing it, exercise, building that muscle. And the more you do it, the more confident that you will feel, and you'll just build momentum as you go along. So start now, even if it's messy. As I like to say, start before you're ready. Also, give yourself permission to be messy. Give yourself permission to be imperfect. Strive to do the best that you can, but do not let the perfection curse hold you back. All right. Just start sharing minimally, because most likely, unless you've already got a huge following, most likely there's not a whole lot of people following you. So you can do stuff that's kind of not, the top of the Hollywood production values, or you might mess up or think that you mess up. Your audience is small. Nobody's going to hardly notice. This is a great opportunity to play and experiment. But even the things that you think are not perfect, if it's real, if it's honest and vulnerable, there are going to be people that see that and go, oh my God, that was just the message that I needed to hear. That's what I want you to think about too. There are people out there right now searching for the thing that you have to offer, the solution that you provide. And don't you want to put yourself in a position for some of those people to discover you so that you can be there to help them? This is not a self-serving thing about being online. It's an act of service, I believe. That's the way that I approach it. Anyway, so you want to activate, start creating, come up with that daily habit, build that muscle. All right, step 5 in the acronym: clarify your message and amplify what works. Here, you're starting to build momentum. Once you've shared for a while, you'll start seeing some patterns. You'll start recognizing, like, what is resonating with my audience? What lights me up the most? And so but that doesn't happen unless you're sharing on a regular basis. Again, you just can't sit there and intellectualize what this is probably going to be popular and I'm going to feel good about this. Get out there and do it. So you want to, what a Venn diagram is? You want to have these overlapping things where what's the thing that you're excited about and how does that overlap with people are resonating with? I have a couple stories here. I forgot the stories in the previous page, but I'm just going to keep moving forward. When I posted my first affirmation video in December, actually, right around this time of the year, it was December 18th, I think, of 2016. However, in the weeks and months prior to that, I was playing with other stuff. A friend of mine was posting these thematic instrumental things, and I was stuff like there's a thumbnail for a video I think you still find on my channel. Music for brainstorming and productivity. It was just lo-fi instrumental stuff that I had created in GarageBand. And I did a few of those. I also tried some traditional guided meditations about the relax, imagine yourself on a mountaintop and all that, which was the typical kind of standard thing. So I was in a very experimental phase with YouTube, and then I posted the affirmation thing, and that's the thing that got attention. And that's the thing I was actually pretty excited about too, because I'd used affirmations in my own life. I knew the power of them, and so, oh, this is really cool. And there'd always been this thread of positive thinking through everything I've created over the years. So it was just perfectly in alignment. I wasn't trying to doing something that what didn't come naturally to me. So it's like what's resonating with your audience and what lights you up, lean into that. And clarity emerges through consistent action. I have that picture of Chuck Berry on the cover of my old music magazine. And the one lesson that I learned, I think once I'd been doing the spotlight and it was growing, I had for a few years, it's probably early 90s, I had this great idea. I said, "Oh, let's expand things. Let's not just make it cover local music. Let's make it the local music and entertainment resource. And we can cover comedy and theater and all these different things and expand the potential advertisers." And so I had this very small staff, one or two like sales people. And so, yeah, let's go out and do this. And what I quickly learned was people were resistantly going, why would we, like theater companies in different places, other non-music venues are going, why would we advertise in Spotlight? That's like that's the musician's newspaper. I said, no, it's not a musician's newspaper. It's entertainment in St. Louis, nightlife, all this stuff. And for I don't know, close to a year, I fought this battle and just kept on banging my head against the wall. That there was this resistance until I finally realized, oh yeah, the spotlight is a reflection of me, and I'm primarily a musician and have a love for music. It really is. So I just kind of gave in to the public perception and just embraced it. Okay, well then let's go all in. Let's make this a music magazine for local music. And when I did that, when I actually narrowed the focus of it and came back to its roots and the reflection of who I am, it thrived. Actually, then every studio, every music store wanted to be in it so that was a great lesson in clarifying, like paying attention and clarifying and amplifying what works as you go. But you will not get to that point unless you're out there sharing a lot for a while and you get that feedback. Again, the feedback from yourself and the feedback from your audience. All right, cool. Getting fired up about this now. And finally, step 6 is transform. This is where you step into your role as a leader and an influencer. This is where you fully embody your potential. Transform works on two different levels. Your work, more and more, you're transforming the lives of other people on a growing larger scale. As you grow your audience and refine your brand, you amplify your impact, and you also transform as that leader. You gain confidence, you gain authority, and the opportunity to leave a legacy. And so this is where these layers, they all build upon each other. And this is the 6-step process. A couple of images there. Cool. Opportunities kind of come to you when you reach this level, when you've been out there sharing for a while. You'll notice, I don't know how many of you have ever seen the movie The School of Rock starring Jack Black. It came out in 2004. And it's a character in the movie carrying an early version of the Guerrilla Music Marketing Handbook in a classroom scene about halfway through the movie. I didn't seek this out, but a guy who's collecting props for Paramount Pictures reached out to me, my old AOL email address, and asked for a copy of it. I signed a one-page release form, shipped it off, and sure enough, it appeared in the movie. That actor is Miranda Cosgrove. She's probably 10 years old. She ended up being in a show called iCarly. She's got a music and an acting career. Just watched a movie that she was in recently. And she's all grown up now. And so another opportunity, as I mentioned, Berklee College of Music and other things that came my way. That photo on the bottom is I was invited to speak at a music conference in the Netherlands many years, like 2009-ish, I think. And that's me on stage at one of the venues being interviewed by a local television people there. So it's just like all these opportunities start coming your way once you're known for something and you have a presence online. People are seeking out an expert or somebody on this and that, or speaker. or prop for a movie, and they find you because you've left all these breadcrumbs online. All right. So where are we at here? So, applying this six-step process to your life. So, the impact formula is a powerful framework for purpose-driven creators like you who are ready to stop dreaming and start doing. It's not just about growing an audience or achieving material success. It's about aligning your passion, your mindset, and actions to create something deeply meaningful. I just threw a couple of photos up there. That one at the top. Oh, Lisa Shepard is in there. Anybody else here was in that photo? That was in Florida. We had a little mini retreat with our High Vibe Tribe members. So that was really cool. That's a photo of Pookie and I with Reverend Michael Beckwith, who ended up officiating our wedding almost 2 years ago. We got to meet him as a result of our travels to LA and all that stuff. So there's a lot of cool things come along here. So here is a recap of the formula. You can screenshot this or go to bobbakerinspiration.com/impact to download a free copy, like a 12-page or whatever. How many pages is it? It's pretty short, but I detail the six-step process in that PDF as well. But it's identify your passion, purpose, and path. Step 2, monitor your thoughts and beliefs and take steps to improve them. 3, plan a flexible roadmap of small, consistent actions. Activate by consistently creating, sharing, and building momentum. Clarify and refine your message and amplify what works over time. And then you get to that point where you transform the lives of your followers and step into your role as a leader and a true influencer on a purpose-driven mission. So that is the impact formula in a nutshell there. Well, there you go. 6 steps. Did you get them all? I just plugged it there, but again, you can download that free ebook there called the Impact Formula. It covers the 6 steps in a more concise format. It's really short, but you can go to bobbakerinspiration.com/impact. So I hope you enjoyed this, whether you watched it live, and thank for those of you that watched it live. Some of you have been here for its entirety. Some of you popped in and out. You can always go back. This very page that it's on now becomes the replay page. You can go back and watch it from the beginning. I know there's a lot to absorb here, but I think there are a lot of lessons that you can apply to your own life. Michelle earlier posted that she has been consistently inconsistent with her sharing her gifts. So congratulate yourself. You found a way to be consistent. You found a pattern of inconsistency. Now you just need to lean into it and tweak that and develop a new habit where you are sharing on a regular basis. And that is, of course, the purpose of the program here, which is Speak, Write, Create 21 Days to Rock Solid Confidence for Purpose-Driven Creators. So I use the word confidence in there because that was a recurring theme that I've heard for years, is people just lack the confidence, or they don't, the feeling that they have something of valuable. And that is part of it. That's the mindset aspect of it. But it's also, what I've incorporated into this is it's building the habit of daily posting something, sharing something online in particular. And so that's what this program is going to give you. It starts January 11, and you can learn more about it and choose one of 3 levels to sign up for. The basic level is super affordable, and so there's really no excuse to not dive into this. It's 21 days that you just lean into it, set aside 15, 30 minutes a day for the 3 weeks. bobbakerinspiration.com/rock, as in rock solid confidence, and rock music. ROCK. And real quick, when you sign up, you'll get, this is the what the online course part looks like, and you got some introductory things there about how to get the most out of the program. You get 4 different audio recordings that are a combination of affirmations, pep talks. There's a 1-hour sleep affirmation recording, a guided visualization. That you mix and match these things and listen to them multiple times throughout, every day throughout the 21 days. Also a video there on how to develop unstoppable confidence. And then on the doing side of things, your social media buffet. 30 simple, easy ways to share every day. Pick something off of this list, share it to the platform of your choice. And you're not doing this alone. Even at the basic level, we're going to have weekly Zoom calls. You're going to get to know other people going through the same process with you. And then if you want to notch it or take things up a notch, there's some things where you can get involved in our High Vibe Tribe community, and there's some Success Pod options where that's the second level. And then if you want some one-on-one time with me, there's a third level there. So whatever speaks to you, just stop delaying, stop procrastinating, join us. Go to that website, bobbakerinspiration.com/rock. Learn more about it. Choose the level that's going to work for you, and then join us when we start next Saturday, the 11th. All right. But regardless, I hope you got a lot out of this. This is the most in-depth I've ever shared my story, my journey. I hope it was inspiring. And serves an example of what's possible and what you can do too on whatever level, however you define success. Make it work for you. I appreciate you. Thanks again, everyone, for being here. And we'll talk again soon. All right. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Again, Happy New Year. This is Bob Baker saying so long for now.